The crystal chandeliers of the Whitmore Grand Hotel lobby blazed with afternoon light, casting geometric shadows across marble floors, polished to a mirror shine. Constance Whitmore walked through the space she had designed herself, but today, her steps were not her own. Leon Hale moved beside her, half a step back, his hand resting at the small of her back as if guiding a dance partner. Beneath the pressed wool of his black suit jacket, something cold and hard-pressed against her spine. A weapon. Constance knew the rules without being told. No shouting, no running, no reaching for her phone. The tension in the air was thick, a silent scream she couldn't let out. As they walked, every detail of the lobby she had meticulously designed seemed to mock her. The polished brass, the plushed velvet chairs, the serene fountain all witnesses to her silent terror. When she passed the janitor mopping near the concierge desk, a flicker of hope, desperate and faint, ignited within her. She made her move. Her hand dropped to her side, fingers forming shapes in the air between one heartbeat and the next. A secret language of distress. Help me. He has a weapon. The janitor's mop stopped mid-stroke, water pooling at his feet. But he did not look up. Silas Henry had learned long ago that invisible people see everything. For 3 years, he had worked the day shift at the Whitmore Grand, pushing his cleaning cart through lobbies and hallways, scrubbing floors that guests crossed without a glance downward. He was a ghost in the machine, a silent observer of the hotel's daily drama. Every surface told him something. The scuff mark near the elevator meant someone had stumbled, probably drunk. The coffee stain by the business center indicated a meeting that had gone poorly. In a world that looked through him, excellence was his only voice. He took pride in his work, in the pristine reflection of the chandeliers on his floors. But the real reason Silas noticed everything was Matilda. His daughter was 7 years old, with dark curls that never stayed in their braids and a smile that could light up a room she could not hear. Born deaf, Matilda had taught Silas a different way of seeing the world. A world of gestures, expressions, and silent cues. When your child cannot hear you call her name, you learn to watch reflections in windows and shadows on walls. You learn that a slight shift in posture can speak volumes, and a flicker of the fingers can be a desperate plea. Every morning before his shift, Silas dropped Matilda at her special education program, 3 blocks from the hotel. They had their own language, a combination of American Sign Language and private gestures that families develop over years. A tap on the wrist meant, pay attention. A tug on the earlobe meant, I love you. A hand over the heart meant, you are safe. Other parents sometimes offered pity Silas had never requested. Some made clumsy comments about teaching a child with hands instead of words. Silas stopped trying to educate them. Matilda didn't need their understanding. She needed a father who showed up, who learned her language, who made the world safe for her. That particular morning had started with an unusual request. Silas received his daily assignment from the facility's manager, but today the instructions carried extra weight. The VIP wing needed to be absolutely spotless, and all maintenance staff were told to work quickly and quietly. Do not make eye contact. Do not ask questions. No. Lingo. The air in the hotel was already buzzing with an unspoken tension. Silas had seen Audrey Finn, the head of security, pacing the lobby more than usual, her hand constantly adjusting the earpiece that connected her to the security network. Her brow was furrowed, her jaw tight. Even Bridget Louisa, the senior receptionist, whose smile could diffuse angry guests and charm difficult vendors, had pulled Silas aside near the elevators. We have a special situation today, she said quietly, her eyes flicking toward the executive offices. Just keep your head down and make sure nothing goes wrong. Now, as Constance Whitmore's fingers moved in the air, Silas understood. He recognized the shapes. They were not just random movements. They were signs. A language he knew better than anyone else in this grand, opulent hotel. The signs for help and danger. He kept his head down, his face a mask of indifference, his hands returning to the mop. But his mind was racing. He was invisible, but he had just seen the one thing no one else had. And in this world that refused to see him, Silas Henry was about to become the most important person in the room. The safety of his own world, the world he built for Matilda, depended on what he did next. Silas pushed his cart across the polished marble, but Bridget's warning echoed in his mind. Make sure nothing goes wrong. He watched Leon Hale and Constance Whitmore move through the lobby, their reflections multiplying in the mirrored walls. To everyone else, they were power walking beside power, the CEO and her consultant. But Silas saw something different. Leon's hand never truly left Constance's back. It wasn't a supportive touch, it was possessive. Each time she slowed, his fingers pressed harder, guiding her like an object. And Constance, the woman who built this empire, wasn't walking. She was being escorted. Silas pretended to clean a streak near the concierge desk, his ears straining to catch their words. Leon's voice was quiet, calculated. The board will understand once you explain it, he said. Constance's reply was calm. Too calm. There is nothing to explain. You no longer work here. Leon smiled, a cold, calculating expression reflected in a nearby luggage cart. You always did underestimate me, Connie. Her fingers twitched, just once. It was a tiny movement, but Silas felt a jolt of instinct. The same feeling he'd had years ago when his daughter Matilda wandered too close to traffic. Danger was moving, even if the world looked normal. Constance's hand lowered again, this time more deliberately. Hidden between her coat and her thigh, her fingers spelled out words in sign language. Help me a weapon. Silas's breath hitched. The lobby faded, and for a second, he saw his 4-year-old daughter, Matilda, crying silently at the kitchen table. She couldn't hear the fire alarm and didn't know why everyone was panicking. He remembered the terror of that moment, and the promise he made to always be her eyes. Now, someone else needed them. He couldn't panic. That would get her killed. He angled his car toward the concierge desk, blending in with the guests. Leon's sharp eyes flicked toward him for a moment, then dismissed him. Just a janitor. Background noise. Then Silas spotted Audrey Finn, the head of security. Ex-military. Always alert. Today, she was different. Her hand kept touching her earpiece, her eyes scanning the room in a familiar through-to-sesament pattern. She was looking for a threat, but she didn't know where it was. Leon steered Constance toward the east corridor, the one leading to the quiet, soundproofed private elevators. Silas's heart pounded. He had to warn Audrey without tipping off Leon. He pushed his cart just slightly offline, clipping the edge of a decorative planter. The clatter was louder than he expected. Leon spun around. What the hell? Silas flinched, playing the part. Sorry, sir. Won't happen again. Leon stared at him for a beat too long. That's when Constance did something brilliant. She stumbled, just enough to make Leon's grip tighten, pulling his jacket open for a fraction of a second. It was all Silas needed. The shape was unmistakable. A shoulder holster. Audrey saw it too. Her posture shifted instantly. She touched her earpiece once, then twice. Security began to move, subtle and coordinated. But Leon felt the change in the air. You planned this? He muttered to Constance, turning her sharply toward the elevator. Silas had to act. He kicked his mop bucket. Water flooded the marble floor. A woman screamed as her heels slipped. Leon cursed, stepping back instinctively, and that movement fully exposed the weapon. Audrey didn't shout. She ran. As 2 guards closed in, Leon drew the gun. Time slowed to a crawl. Silas stepped forward, not thinking, just moving. He raised his hands and signed, not to Constance, but directly at Leon. Everyone sees you now. Tisanzere. The unexpected gesture froze. Leon in confusion. That single second was all it took. Security tackled him. The gun skidded across the floor, stopping inches from Silas's shoe. Silence fell. Guests started phones already recording. Constance, now shaken, walked toward Silas. In front of everyone, she raised her hands and signed, You saw me when no one else did. You saved my life. Silas swallowed hard and signed back. I learned to watch because my daughter cannot hear danger coming. The atmosphere in the room shifted. That night, the video went viral. But the real change happened later, in a quiet office. "I want you to work with our security team," Constance offered. Silas smiled and shook his head. "My daughter needs me home by 6. Constance nodded. "Then I'll make sure the world meets you where you are." The next morning, as Matilda walked into school holding her father's hand, the world felt a little bit safer, because someone had been watching. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that matters.